Hello, everyone. It's Jeff Cutter, Historical Diamond, with yet another Degrassi video. And today we look at season 4 and we look at JT and the penis pump. Why did Degrassi introduce a penis pump? Well, I will tell you the cause and effect of a penis pump. Okay, so anyway. I think I got you there. April Fool's, people. It's April Fool's Day. It's a lovely day on April Fool's. It is April Fool's Day today. I'm just kidding. Today, okay, let me just get my papers together. Okay, well, I'll be back in a second. Hang on. Well, this is what I'm talking about. The Raditch paradox and why I can't like it during and after the shooting. As many of you know, I did a video on Raditch based on his character from Degrassi Junior High to up to season 4 of Next Generation. But the fact of the matter, guys, is that there's a lot I need to discover about Raditch and all that. And what was his big downfall. Now in season 4, now this is a disclaimer. A lot of my stuff has come off Reddit, and I found a couple of people who made some comments to some questions I asked. So here's what's going to happen. I will talk about a few Reddit posts I did after I taped and did the Raditch video in October 2018. Remember, this is about 6 months since, so I'm doing a 6-month update. All right. So the first thing I talked about is that, well, this is actually off someone else's Reddit post. There was someone by the name of Vegan Sista who actually wrote something about being a former university administrator and talking about how Degrassi's university college seasons students were actually not, it wasn't realistic. So I decided, as she was a former administrator, to just post this question. And here's the question. The main question is, as a former high school administrator, how did you think about season 4 of Next Generation and the whole Raditch issue with Rick? Did the school board do the right thing, or what type of inaccuracies did you encounter about the whole administration handling Rick or training Degrassi? And I said, granted, this was in 2004 and things have changed since then. This is her answer. M. Season 4 Raditch. Raditch was an awful principal. If a student comes in and tells you they have a problem, you have to have a plan to fix it. And she goes on to say, we would have strategy meetings about students who are struggling academically, emotionally, trying to plan a support. So even if Raditch didn't have the time to talk to Rick, he should have made a plan to meet him from a better time. Principal's prime responsibility. One of his biggest problems was that he wasn't a good listener and he didn't create a plan to help him. He was more punitive than a problem solver. So basically, what she's saying is that if a student tells you they have a problem, you have to fix it. Now, granted, Rick actually fouled things up by not being open to Raditch about his mistake, about what's been happening to him. So practically, Raditch had no proper idea, and he thought that Rick was just being petty, just because Jimmy doesn't like him and all that. Although Rick could have been straightforward saying Jimmy is abusing him, or even Spinner, but why did he not hold that in? I don't know why. But anyway, Raditch basically tells him to shoo, saying that come back with me when something is serious. So anyway, and Raditch's biggest problem was not a good listener. We'll talk about that later. But I also posted a question to her that said that, what did you think about his flip-flopping to do with Rick? As you should know, Raditch was okay with bringing him back to Degrassi in season 4, while the students thought otherwise. And he protected Rick, and then for some reason, he shunned Rick and tried to make amends by getting mad at everyone for the paint feathers prank. And she goes, I think Raditch's exit made a lot of sense, as he was a terrible principal. He punished the students instead of providing them a soundboard and an opportunity to make their concerns heard. Basically, Emma's protest on genetically modified foods, JT and Libby's play, and the students' concern for having Rick back at the school. The only exception to this I can remember is that he encouraged Emma to write an article against a news thing in season 1. Now, I'm going to interrupt here and say that basically Emma's protest on genetically modified foods. Like, Emma was right to protest, and Raj was taking away her flyers and all that. And Emma was going to give in, but what happened is they did some stupid cafeteria video. Emma confronted Sheila. She accidentally ripped Toby's tray away from him and started this food fight. And Raj basically pins everything on her because of her fucking protest. So anyway, Emma decides to switch her means of protest from genetically modified foods to freedom of speech, and wouldn't budge against Raditch, and Raditch basically punished her for it. JT and Liberty's play, we'll talk about that later. And the students concerned for having Rick at the school. So we'll talk about that soon. So anyway, she goes, in my opinion, he also saw any student's response he didn't like as personal attacks against him, and then took punitive measures against the students. That's basically what I've been saying. So when I see Raditch coming down on everyone for the paint and feathers prank, I saw it less as a way to make amends with Rick, and more that Raditch was upset that some students made Degrassi look bad, which obviously goes up to the top and makes Raditch look bad. Also, Rick returning in season 4 would never happen in the real world, because he should have been charged with aggravated assault, domestic battery, and or attempted murder. Exactly. I agree with that point, because Rick basically, if in the real world that would have happened, Rick would have been screwed over and say, bye-bye, Rick, you're not coming back. So anyway, the girl was in a coma. Unfortunately, Terry, as I said, I don't remember if I said it in the previous videos, but Terry's dad should have pressed charges on him, because Raditch would probably have known that he has a criminal record and would stop short. I mean, Raditch had the bright idea to bring him back, but he didn't listen to everyone's concerns about his violence towards women. So anyway, that was just terrible and all of that. And off-campus incidents are tricky to navigate for school because of paperwork and all that. And if Page or Spinner filed orders of protection against Rick based off what they did to Terry, it would have been enough to put Rick in most scenarios. And basically, Raditch would have had no chance to let him back. And as we all know from the shooting, as she says, one of the aftermaths was when Raditch seemingly got carried away with running the school, reading Dracula because it was too graphic. To a point, he was right, but still. Seemingly off-screen threatening to punish students because of the... Oh no, this is what... Oh no, sorry, I'm screwed up. I did a thing when I'm saying that big mystery from season 4 about Raditch. I will reiterate. So anyway, as we know from the shooting, one of the aftermaths was when Raditch seemingly got carried away with running the school, reading Dracula because it was too graphic. He had a point, but he could have just basically just said that we'll suspend operations until it's a further time. Seemingly off school threatening to punish students, as referenced with the drama club refusing to sing the Raditch song for fear of expulsion. Basically got mad at Liberty and JT for the song, and then Degrassi got jettisoned. I basically said, was he fired? Was he fired? Was he forced out, quote unquote? Was he actually resigning before things got too bad? Or was he forced to take a deal that would see him resign and him not face any consequences? And if he didn't, could the police have gotten involved? And also, who was the person responsible for his reassignment? Simpson, Liberty, / JT, the student body, the parents, the staff, the school board guy from Voices Carry Part 1 when he's in the background, or even Snake. Oh, no, sorry, I said Snake. Or it could have been Rick's mom. So basically, the thread said that the school board voted and basically talked about what needed to be done and talked to some people. And I bet you that Simpson would have said something. Not completely getting mad at Raditch on purpose. Although he had us a point, because Raditch basically tried to yell at him in front of Emma. And I mean, Simpson may have overreacted a bit because, you know, Emma had the gun to her face and all that, but what kind of parent wouldn't do that? And basically they did an investigation, and they basically said, in light of your hard work with Degrassi, it's just in the best interest that you leave. He got reassigned. No one ever saw or heard from him again. So basically that's what that's what the thread was. I mean, to be fair. So I'm getting more. I did a post that got more into the Dracula situation, and I said in the title, Saving Raditch's Character, and I go like this. As I watch the storyline, I'm still furious at Raditch for trying to get rid of Dracula for a musical, which some people saw as which fans actually saw as a morale boost for himself to avoid thinking about the negative thoughts about Rick. Would things have gone better for him if he basically told Liberty and JT, quote, in light of recent events, we cannot put this play on due to the gory nature of it combined with the shooting that the school has gone through. We may need to hold on putting on the play until the proper time to move on. Because remember, his kibosh of Dracula for musical led to the drama club refusing to sing Liberty's mock song of him. Liberty basically sung the song to Raditch's face and got her and JT money detention. And basically after that, Raditch was removed. And I said, also, could things have gone better if he went back to his memory bank and remembered when Claude killed some Degrassi High about the circumstances about the talent show being made into a benefit for said cause? Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, when Claude Tanner killed himself in a season 2 episode of Degrassi High, basically, Raditch was the VP. The principal was unseen, kind of like what Degrassi Junior High was. But anyway, Raditch had a meeting of everyone in the school auditorium, and Spike put up her hand and said that we can make it a benefit, have the talent show, and then make it as a benefit. So basically, what I'm trying to get at is that if Dracula would still move on, but put it like a benefit for gun violence, and bully teens and all that. And I also said in the thing, I also want to know if he actually wanted to actually had any answers about the perpetrators of the Pink Feathers prank that happened before the shooting. And basically, Bob the Pizza Boy says, quote, it's clear that they were setting up that Raditch was getting too big for his britches. The next generation had issues. Usually he was played for comedy, but in season 4 they set them up as someone who was settling in his position too well. Unfortunately, that does happen at some schools where staff can be too overconfident after being in position for a little bit. He did himself in by his growing ego and tried to make himself feel better. Now, it is well known that Not a Vampire did a video aftermath on the adults of Degrassi and because of the shooting, and basically said that Raditch probably didn't take the reassignment well and probably had to think about the consequences of him not having Rick and all that. Now, a lot of people agreed with me, saying that basically Raditch could have saved his butt if he had just basically allowed himself to do this thing and just put Dracula off, or even have it as a benefit. But I think he probably was worried about what Rick's parents were going to say and all that. I don't know if Rick's parents had something to say about Raditch and all that. But anyway, yeah, Raditch's character could have been saved. But as I said, I think last time I said that Raditch could have just, the best thing for him to do, like, okay, you want to keep him and get rid of him at the same time. The best solution, I would say, is that you just let Raditch finish out the year, and then Raditch basically said that I did what I could about the school shooting. I can't do any more. I got to move on. Or he could have just resigned in the interim. All that. It does strike me that Raditch never went after Spinner, because remember the deleted scene is that Spinner actually mocked Rick because Rick had the painted feathers on him. And devil's advocate for about Spinner is if Rick just came in with a normal, actually no, if Rick came in with a normal outfit, Spinner still would have called Chicken Boy and all that crap. And basically Spinner was in trouble with Raditch. Raditch wanted to talk, serious talk, and he probably would have had it. I think if he had actually told Spinner and basically said that, I know what you did, Spinner easily would have confessed everything. Who knows, maybe he might have just taken the full blame and left Jay and Alex out of it. But of course, as we know, that he confessed to Hatzalakos about him and Jay. I think the Jay situation is mostly because Jay was just bullying him and all that. But more on that in a future video. So yeah, it's sad about Raditch and all that. I mean, he had the biggest character drop-off after Rick in the aftermath, because, you know, Rick died, Raditch lost his job, John left Degrassi for a year and a half. That was just putrid. And I feel for the guy. I mean, years ago, I would have said Raditch basically is a piece of shit. Sorry for saying that, but that's how I felt. But in the long haul, I'm going to say this. He was a tragic character, and basically they sent him up for failure. I don't know if Dan Woods actually liked the fact that his character would have been dismissed. I mean, I know he did some car show like Chop Cut Rebuild and all that, but did he want to get out of it? Could Raditch have been like knocked off any other way? It's a mystery that needs to be solved. So that's it for today's video. There will be 6 more videos, one each day. Don't forget, it's Degrassi shooting 6 months later week.